On today's show, we have Christian Anderson. Christian, thanks so much for chatting with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. It is the season. I have noticed since finding you out and listening to your music and everything, you are a fellow Ginger. And so welcome to the club, man.
Yeah.
We I think Leland.
Welcome to the club. He's been in the club. What do you mean welcome?
Leland was our only other Ginger I think we've ever had on this show. And so they're rare, man.
True.
You say they're like we aren't them.
No, we are them.
They're rare.
Hey, we get a national holiday, and so I'm fine with that. Well, Christian.
So,
go ahead, Chris.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Do you mind just introducing yourself to our listeners and telling us your story, your background, and how you came to do what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey everybody. I'm Christian Anderson. I'm a Christian pop artist. I write my own music. I actually just co-wrote this Christmas song with my latest producer, Kenny Bell. I'm a great guy. But I got into Christian music when I was like 19. I was in college studying acting, and just like you were talking about, I'm gonna go off air, like, God pulls us in like a direction, and he was pulling me into music just kind of out of nowhere. Ironically, that's kind of the name of my first album, You Pull Me Up. But God calls you unexpectedly, and I found myself writing music. And I wrote this one song for a friend, and it kind of changed her whole perspective on her self-worth. And then I thought, this is like something that's powerful, and if I could just touch, one person, like at every show that I do, then it's worth doing. And if that gives God a space to reach more people and do more good through me, then I think this is what I should be doing in my life.
You said you started at 19?
Yep.
Okay. How many years total have you been doing this?
It's been like 8.
Okay. Awesome.
So we know you have a new single, I Heard the Bells, Peace on Earth. And after listening to it and now seeing the Roland AX in the background and everything, it all just like full circle right now. Tell us about I Heard the Bells and how that rendition came about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I don't know where to start. I love this song. It's so cool to see like how much other people love the song too. I was really nervous about how people would receive it, given like the song is very kind of like solemn in nature, like just like the message. And I took a fun approach where, I don't know, I like higher energy songs a lot of times. So I kind of hopped on Zoom with my producer and I said, hey, I've got this idea for the song I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, but I wanted to put like Carol of the Bells into it, or just like a little section, just like the little hook. And I was like, the only way to do that is to completely change the time signature of the actual song, at least for a portion. So we had some fun, and I was just like, I kind of gambled it. I was like, I don't know if this would work, but let's try it out. And then we did. And then my producer actually helped co-write that melody and those words, Peace on Earth, on the chorus. And then I just kind of, arranged the rest of the fun of it, and then we put it together. But it all came together because my radio promoter friend, Chris Hauser, I don't know if you guys know him. I'm name dropping him. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening. I love that dude. We met for coffee for like the second time ever. Like I met him just like last October. But he said it'd be really cool to do a Christmas song because you're trying to like, get your music heard and out there. So I was like, okay. He's like, do something that people don't know that well. I was like, that's kind of hard. Like everyone knows every Christmas song. So I went home, and then like right after I got off the plane, driving back from the airport, my dad said, hey, check this song out. He played 2 versions, and one version kind of put me to sleep a little bit. And then the second version, I was like, the second version was Frank Sinatra. I don't know if you guys are Sinatra fans.
Oh yeah.
Man, his like really moved me, and I heard like the orchestral, just like everything going on in there. I was like, man, when he says like God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. I was like, okay, like we're gonna steal a little bit of the vibe here for some nostalgia, but then add something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for not doing Christmas Shoes.
Christmas.
Yeah, have you heard of that song before?
Christmas Shoes.
A new song.
Should I have?
Okay, well, when you're done tonight, listen to that song, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm glad I didn't do that song. It's a
It's a
very
very
sad
sad
song.
Christmas.
Oh, man.
It's about a
Really
mom.
good.
It's about a mom that dies, and her final wish is wanting these Christmas shoes, and she dies. It's like very.
That's sad.
It's very sad. It is very sad. But I will say, it totally works. Like the whole vibe and time signature change, like it just it's a vibe. It works well.
Yeah, a couple things that I'll take away from this song, Christian, is I got a lot of For King Country vibes and Coldplay vibes in it. And I was like, all right, I really like this style. And I don't know if you've seen the movie. It's only been out for 2 years, but Sight and Sound Theater did a movie called I Heard the Bells. And it's the story of the song. And I said, man, this song, your version would be perfect for this movie. Because, well, the music video also is like it set up in that time, like that time period. And so, yeah, if you haven't seen that movie, you should check it out. It's the story of I Heard the Bells, but your version is great. It's awesome.
So I haven't seen that movie yet, but I really want to. Everyone commenting on my stuff lately has been like, "Yo, like I know the story of the song. Like, have you seen this movie? Like, I need to."
Yeah.
And actually, like, man, the way Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote that's a depressing story, you know.
Yeah.
But man, it is a powerful song for sure. But so, Christian, we are a podcast for fans and by fans. We're a fan-based podcast, and so we'll have listeners write in questions all the time, and we will let them know who we have coming up, interviewing. And we had a fan of yours. Her name is Lori from New Hampshire, and she wants to know the story behind your song "Fall on Grace."
Well, what's up, Lori? You're listening? That's cool. Story behind my song "Fall on Grace." Man, where do you begin? I think you ever just look at your life and like your relationship with God and think like all you can see when you look at it is just like a stack of kind of like brick walls that you like built up between you and him. I just felt, man, I remember talking to kind of like a guy who's like more or less like my spiritual director at the time. I think I started writing that song a little bit in high school. I finished it later, but yeah, when I was talking to him, I was like, I feel like, every time I confess my sins to God, I'm like, you ever feel like you're clean and then you're fresh? You just like confess your sins to God, like you're all new, and then I'm like, you go back and then like you've sinned again and you feel like filthy, and then you feel like you're living in two worlds, almost like you have one foot in heaven, if you will, and then one foot just kind of living over here in sin world. And I felt like I couldn't get out of this thought process of I keep restoring the old me. When you like delete like everything in a computer, but you could like restore it. I don't know if that analogy works, but that's how I felt. I was like, every time I fall back out of my relationship with God, I feel like I've like restored all of the bad crap, And I was just thinking, man, you know what? Like if I've it's the words, like they're so straightforward, but if I've gotten this far, like I'm like this time, it's almost kind of like I'm saying it to Satan. You know what I mean? Like if I've gotten this far and I'm gonna fall, I was like, you know what? Like God uses everything, like especially Old Testament people, but man, like also like New Testament, like Saul turned into Paul. It's like God takes people and he turns something bad for good. And I was like, all right, if I'm gonna fall this time, like in my weakness, in my temptation, like this is where God is like fully strong, and like when I let go, he can be like just fully catching me, fully strong. So that's kind of the message of that song. I think it was like just kind of like a call and response to my song God Please, but Fall on Grace is definitely more hopeful. It's like it shines a light on like how far away we feel like we're buried in ashes, like we can't see the light of God. But yeah, just when we hold on to the hope that in our weakness he is strong, that's kind of the main message of that song.
Yeah. Well, you kind of mentioned it. You said, this song kind of came out from even like high school era. What is that writing process for you? Because we kind of like I always like to dig into like how the writing process of each artist is, because some are like, oh, my audio app is like filled with like little runs or one lines or the notes is all. So what does that look like for you?
Just the recording process.
Your writing process.
Writing, man. You know, when I first started, did you guys know GarageBand?
Oh yeah.
Like, I think everybody with an iPhone has probably messed around with it at some point, but that's how I started back in like 2016 or 17. I was messing around on my phone, and actually, like, some of the sounds from my first album, like, I don't know if you'll be able to catch them, but some of like the synth sounds or like brass even, or like actually from GarageBand. And to me, that's like, some people would say like, oh, that's super cheap. Like, why would you keep that in there? But to me, it's like holding on to like kind of where it came from. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you that quote, man, I always butcher it. Use what you can with what you have where you are. I'm butchering that. But, you know, is that like a Benjamin Franklin or Theodore Roosevelt? I'm mixing those two people.
Oh, yeah.
But it's one of them.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah. Well,
No, I mean, I can tell you, bringing back to like use what you can. Back in the day, this was going on 17 years ago. That's crazy to say, but yeah, using a Rock Band drum kit, MIDI'd in. This was like before MIDI was like really a thing ever. MIDI'd into GarageBand and literally tracking drums from a Rock Band drum set on an album. Yeah.
Like the game, like Rock Band. Like
yes, like the Rock Band game console, like the controller. It's crazy.
Technology. Well, Christian, with first-time guest, we like to do a little thing called favorite things. And so I'm just going to give you a word and you tell us your favorite thing in that category. Sound good? All right. Christian, go off.
Sure. Favorite food?
crispy chicken sandwich.
Okay. Anywhere?
Man, they're best when they're homemade, but honestly, okay. Prince's, I don't know if they make sandwiches, but they actually have really good hot chicken in Tennessee. Prince's.
Okay.
Nice. Do you have, since we're talking Christmas, do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
Okay, growing up, was it Jingle All the Way?
Yeah. I just rewatched that like a couple days ago, and I was like, man.
I love the scene in that movie where, is his name like Ned? Or
Yes.
Yeah, Ned. Ted.
Like, we have our own Turbo Man nestled safely under our tree. And his voice is like echoing and like Schwarzenegger's head, safely under our tree. And then he gets to go,
You're my number one customer.
cookies down now.
Yeah.
That's
That
good.
was a great one. Well, and then what was the movie that just oh, never mind. It wasn't a movie. I watched a clip of it was like 1970. It was a Macy's Day Parade, like Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it was the Marvel characters. And it was like the same line, like, remember when they're in the parade and like Turbo Man's like running around and Buster is like, they're doing that whole bit? Well, they got major inspiration from a Macy's Day Parade that did it, like Marvel did it. And they were actual like running around and doing all those like things. And I was like, it's too good. All right. Do you have a favorite classic Christmas show?
Like a TV show?
Yeah, like a TV special. Like
I don't know why the first thing that popped in mind was the Star Wars holiday special. It's not my favorite. Not at all.
Not Rudolph or Frosty, Star Wars.
And, you know, like, honestly, growing up, it's kind of sad. We were like a little poor. Like, we didn't have, I remember it was like cool to have like cable. We didn't really have, we had to like tune in with the antennas and like move them to get the right stations. Man, that would be a tough one. But, I mean, I got a lot of favorite Christmas movies for sure.
Sure. Do you have a favorite musical artist of all time?
You know, I'd probably have to go. I've been very inspired by For King and Country. At least through high school and college. You know, definitely. I love that they're so like drum inspired, like drum heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who like was in marching band, I was in the drum line. I was actually like the drum major of the marching band, like the guy who like conducts and like wears the cool cape and everything. And it was just like, I think they actually kind of inspired me to get into Christian music. And it's kind of a fun fact, but like my first ever marching band instrument was like this like huge bass drum, and I had to wear it like on my shoulders. And I don't know if you know, but I like used to weigh like 130 pounds in high school. I'm like now like 170 something, but I remember coming home one day and like saying to my parents, like, my shoulders literally hurt so bad because like this harness was like digging in to my shoulders. And I was like, all right, Dad, like I'm about to quit. Like I'm done with marching band altogether. But he knew like I had a huge dream to like work up to be like the director of the marching band. And he's like, don't give up. Like everybody starts in the mailroom. And so I don't know why, but yeah, that's kind of like a piece of my story. Like that's why I always bring like a huge bass drum to every show. And it was cool to see a band like using all the instruments that I played in high school, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I've seen 2 of their concerts. They're absolutely awesome. Like I've never seen a better show, to be honest. But yeah, they put everything into what they do. It's funny you said Coldplay earlier about was it my Christmas song? I listened to a lot of Coldplay like before I even knew who For King and Country was.
Right.
Maybe that's why I liked them. Like it's funny, I showed a lot of people For King and Country's first album, and like this one guy who's like a worship leader at a church, he was like, dude, this sounds like a lot like Coldplay. Do you think they got like super inspired by Coldplay? So I guess there's like a whole trail of like maybe they were inspired by Coldplay and I was inspired by them.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, so this might be answered, but do you have a dream duet?
dream duet. Man, I don't know. Like someone living or like anybody?
Anybody living or
Man,
We can hologram them in.
Man, who does? Well, is he still alive? Who does the classic like Rockin' Robin song? Is that No, I can't get his name.
the Bobby Day?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's right.
Is he still going?
No, he's not.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun to do a version of that with him because that was like one of my first ever songs I heard when I was a kid, and I just like loved it. Someone living, man, it'd be fun to do something with Coldplay. Man, if I was to do something like in the rap world, I would love to do something with NF. That'd be legit.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
There's a lot. There's a lot.
That is.
But right now, if I had to pick, I'd probably do like chocolate chip, like cookie dough. Yeah, cookie dough ice cream.
Yeah. I'm on a half-baked kick right now, which is chocolate chip cookie dough and brownie, like bite like things in it. It's disaster. Do you have a favorite podcast?
This one so far, man.
Yeah,
Good
or
answer.
audiobook. I know some people are like, I don't listen really to podcasts, but audiobooks are.
You know, I don't know why I feel like it's a sin, but I used to listen to a lot of like just random Joe Rogan podcasts with like people that he had on that I really respected.
Yeah.
There's actually like a guy who turned some of like those talks or like those people into like remix with like to beats.
Yeah.
What is one thing about you that people don't know?
I don't know, probably lots of things. Like a hidden talent.
Anything.
Or
Like
anything, or something off the wall.
This is pretty off the wall. I can do a pretty good Smeagol impression.
Okay, well, you can't say that and not give the Smeagol impression. You knew that was like, there's no way you could say that and not.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. I had this whole line memorized from, I think it's like the third movie. When I was a little kid, I used to like rewind and play it. I'm gonna butcher like the wrong lines now, but it was like, the stairs we go until, and once they're in, there's no coming out. She hungers for sweeter meats, habit meat, and when she throws away the bones, empty clothes, we will find it and take it for me.
Yeah. So I'm so upset. So our other brother who's a part of this podcast, who is sick currently, so that's why he couldn't make it. Me and him are like Lord of the Rings, like
Nerds.
So it just came out with the extended versions back in the theaters. It was 3 nights in a row, and they were 4 hours, almost 4 hours each. I think the last one, Return of the King, was like over 4 hours because they were all extended. Me and my brother, we left our wife and kids at home, and every night, 3 nights in a row, we went to the movies and saw it. It's great.
Love it.
All right, Christian. So you made it. You've done the favorite things, passed with flying colors, especially with the icing on top, Smeagol impersonation. I used to think that I could do a Marvin the Martian impersonation, but I could not at all. So what is next for you, and how can our listeners keep up with you?
The next for me, is I've got a couple singles that I got to do. And I don't know if you guys ever do you guys, I know you were saying you've made music. Do you guys have music too, like out? Well, I don't know if you ever felt this way, but sometimes like I'll get a song and I'm like, man, this is like the song. Like, and there's one song that like I have to do that is coming up that I'm like, man, like I feel like this is gonna blow a lot of people away, but it's gotta be done right, you know what I mean? And like I have a really cool music video idea, and so really it's just like I'm in that phase of my life where like I feel the word starving and starving artist, and I'm like, man, I really gotta pick what I want to do for next year. Do I want to do like a full Christmas album and just a few songs, or like just like a few more Christmas songs and maybe just a few? So
Yeah.
something along the lines of that. I know people are hungry for more Christmas music too, so hopefully just a mix of everything.
Yeah, you got to start recording like in May for Christmas.
It's crazy. I came up with the like idea for this Christmas song in September. Is that right? Yeah, like we like started like recording it in like I don't know, like September or something crazy. And we started filming like the music video literally like right in October. It was so last minute, but it was all.
Yeah. I don't know if you know who Brian Duncan is, but he was telling us Bing Crosby and all them, they wrote like White Christmas in the middle of July. And it was like baking hot. And, they're talking about a white Christmas as they're sweating in 90-degree weather.
Reminiscing, dreaming about the days of White Christmas.
Yeah. Well, Christian, to wrap up, we'd like to see if you'd be willing to share something that God's been doing in your life recently that would help build our viewers and listeners' faith.
So I'm a part of this upcoming film, Dress. They have a really cool movement they're involved with a lot of nonprofits, I think in like every state now. And I believe 50% of everything that like movies making is going towards helping the homeless in every community. And I was just thinking like, man, like I've got the song in that film and like I'm promoting this message, but I'm like, man, I've really never like actually like worked with the homeless. Like maybe I felt like too good to do that. I'm like, man, this is like what Jesus does. And it's kind of crazy. Like this one day I was kind of leading like a kids ministry. I was leading worship with them, and I just prayed that God would kind of like show us like how to do something good, more or less, like in our day or in our weekend. Like literally as I walk out of that building, like there's this homeless guy and he approaches my car. I could tell he was gonna approach my car, like, and I could have kind of like drove away or walked away or like not looked at him, but I knew he was coming. I just kind of like rolled down my window, and he was like, man, he's like, I want to get like a pizza for my family. And something in the back of my head felt like maybe this is a lie. Maybe he's gonna use that money for like drugs. Like everyone always is like, don't give homeless people money, they're gonna use it for drugs. But I was just like, man, like, how can I help you, man? And then he was like, yeah, I just need to get a pizza, like. And then it ended up just like I took him. I didn't have time. He wanted me to help like grocery shop for him, and then I didn't have time. So I was like, I gotta head into church. So we went over to the store. I got him, a couple bucks, and I gave him a ride in my car, which was just like kind of nuts, like because he was. You never know, like he was a little bit, psychologically off and whatnot, but like I just felt like God was telling me like, man, like I don't know, just love this person. This is like your brother. It was just something he said after like I had handed him some money and dropped him off at a store. Like he was like, man, maybe next time like you'll get me $1 million. And just the smile on his face and the innocence, like I just thought, man, like I don't know, God loves everybody. He loves the broken. He loves the righteous. He loves all of us, and that was just like super humbling. So yeah, God's working everywhere.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with us. I heard the bells. Peace on Earth is available everywhere. Check out the amazing music video on YouTube. Christian, what's your website and your socials?
ChristianAndersonBand.com.
Okay.
If anybody wants to book a show, I'm gonna drop a hot link, ChristianAndersonBand.com. I don't know if it's /booking or /book, but feel free to hit me up. I'm open to house parties if y'all can get enough people there, open to birthday parties. And then, check out my socials are at Christian Anderson Band. And definitely check out the new music video. Poured a lot of passion into that. A lot of cast members worked hard.